All right, so today's video was sparked by some stuff I got in the mail today from SK. I got my flex head ratchet and something from the Socket of the Month Club, and I'm still waiting for a bunch of other stuff to trickle in. And I said, you know what? It's a great opportunity to just do a video, maybe cover a couple of things, and then talk about the sale of SK to a Chinese company. So before we jump into the conversation about SK being sold, let me show you what I got here. I've been waiting for this a while. This is one of my favorite ones that I did get on the Steals and Deals for $25. And it's just a little fine tooth. Listen to that. Nice. Fine tooth, 1/4 inch ratchet. Pear head design. Obviously very different from all the round heads I had over the years. And the little brother to this, I think it's about 11 inches. And this is probably about 5. So you could see substantially different. This one's stiff. Obviously you can tighten this up. This one's a little bit floppy, right? Kind of like a New York slice of pizza, except this you could tighten up, and you could always put a little Loctite on it. So I was excited to own that. And then I've been waiting for this 6mm 3H drive to complete a set for a long time. And this is part of the Socket of the Month Club. So still waiting for more things to come in. Obviously SK's a mess. I can only imagine what the employees are going through there. They were a troubled company prior, but they got to be in disarray knowing that they're now owned by Gold Star. And this is the actual press release on the SK website here, and it's kind of comical. They're pleased to announce that Hangzhou Great Star Industrial Company has completed its acquisition of SK Hand Tools. And it just goes on to say, you know, how great of a company Hangzhou Great Star is, and that they were established in 1993 and they make all these great tools. And then you click on the link to learn more about them and look what pops up. I don't know. I can't read that. Can you? Pretty sad. That's how I feel about this. This is going to be a short video, so stay tuned to the end so you can learn how to participate in my tribute and send me a picture of your favorite SK tool and I can put it in an upcoming video. So in this great video that came out recently done by Harry J. Epstein, if you haven't bought tools from them, they're just a fantastic old retailer that's been selling tools since, I don't know, the 30s. And they support American manufacturers primarily. They buy a lot of closeouts, and they had a great discussion about this. They were the one that put this on everyone's radar a couple of weeks ago, and then they kind of burst everybody's bubble this week. And they have, I'm going to put the link in the description. You could go through it. It's just a fantastic video. But one of the topics came up is, why is this bothering people so much? And for me, it's a couple reasons, right? And I had to really reflect upon it because I know when Armstrong sold, people were going nuts. I'm going to sell everything I own, And I don't know how I feel about this. There's nobody that loves SK more than me. It definitely stings, and I'm going to have to process this. So, there's a couple things that could happen is SK could still make tools in the US, but just all the profits will go to China, or they might close down SK altogether, which they say is probably less likely. But who the heck knows? And how do you feel about buying a tool that, is going to China, or the profits, and I guess it does employ American workers. And then you start, trying to rationalize, well, I buy a lot of other things from China, but so there's a couple of things in that conversation that they talked about that I totally agree with. And one of them for me is just, it really comes down, to look at the last pandemic, or this pandemic we're still in. And you couldn't even get a cotton swab. You couldn't get a mask because how pathetic our manufacturing is in America. And everything's overseas, and we couldn't retool a factory. We couldn't do a darn thing to get the supplies we needed. So think about another pandemic. Think about any sort of international crisis. You're going to be relying on a communist country to produce your arms, your tools, and every day there's more and more companies that are going that route overseas and selling out. And a lot of Americans, it doesn't impact them. Doesn't bother them. And I'm not taking a position either way. I'm just sharing my fear. But for me, I reflected and I said, why is SK so, why does it have such a meaning to me? And for me, and I think a lot of the people, it's the nostalgia and the history. So when you're nostalgic and you're loyal, you're blind. And I'm okay with that. And I kind of accepted that, and I knew that over the years. I knew SK was a flawed company, and then they went, they were sold to Facom, and they were owned by the French, which whatever. But then when they came back and Ideal bought them, it was a big deal. And just been overly so loyal to them because it means a lot to me. I think to most people, they have SK in their life since early ages, and because of that, they're loyal to it. It's a familiar face. It's nostalgic. It was your father's. It was your grandfather's. It was your uncle's. It was, the guy you looked up at the shop. Maybe he had some SK tools. And for me, these are a couple of SK sets that've been in my whole life. My dad bought these sets in the 60s, probably the mid 60s, maybe 66, 67, when he was just first got a job as an electrician. He worked in a department store in Gimbels, New York. It was kind of similar to a Macy's in Manhattan, and they sold SK tools, and he used his discount to buy these. And, look at them. They're beautiful. So my whole life, I've had these, growing up, going down the basement. These two socket sets always sat on the shelf. And then there was a 1/4-inch Craftsman set that sat on top of it. Whenever I needed a socket set, this is what I ran for. And then as I got older and started working in the shop, when I say older, probably 9 or 10, in the tranny shop, guys, you just get an affinity for tools, and this guy likes Snap-on, and this guy likes Bonnie. But one thing that stood true is all the mechanics basically said, you know what? SK sockets, so you can't beat them. Best bang for the buck. And I just always loved SK and their sockets. So I want to do a little bit different spin on it and try not to be all down in the dumps, because I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm still going to collect SK. I'm definitely not going to get rid of the stuff I have. Not all of it anyway. Not the stuff that means something to me anyway. But I don't know. I'll have to see and shit. I have to process it, right? You got to go through the denial and all those stages, right? But what I want to do is something a little bit more fun, and maybe do a video and send me your pictures of something that means a lot to you that's an SK and something nostalgic to you. And I have a feeling that's why SK means so much to so many people. And I'll do a video on it, and I'll put the pictures up, and I'll share maybe a blurb if you want to put a sentence or two in it, and who it is and why it means so much to you, and maybe it's something unique. So let's do a tribute video. Send me your 1 or 2 most prized SK possessions, and we could do that. And they were talking about it on HJ, and they said, I think it's maybe SK had a little bit more innovation than Wright, but Wright's such a better, well-run company. Wright never, always supplied us and never let us down, and SK's always been a mismanaged company, and people just love SK, and I attribute it to really going back to loyalty, nostalgic, that green just warms up something in your heart. So here's my email address, tomgunntools@gmail.com, and maybe in another week or so I'll get a video up on it. Thanks so much. Haven't seen it already, check out CP the Tool Addict's video on the same topic. He's got a great channel. If you're not familiar with it, I'll put the link in the description below.